The silent observers. Grand Observer Zirax of the Araxian Federation glided across the observation deck, his crystalline body refracting the starlight into prismatic patterns across the smooth metal floor. The view screen before him displayed a blue-green world spinning slowly in the darkness, third from its unremarkable yellow star. Earth, he intoned, the word forming as a resonant vibration through his crystalline structure. Such a primitive designation for a world, almost as primitive as its dominant species. Senior Analyst Vex floated beside him, her translucent form pulsing with bioluminescent patterns of curiosity. The humans have progressed faster than our models predicted, Grand Observer. They've achieved rudimentary interplanetary travel within a single millennium of discovering electricity. A statistical anomaly, Zirax dismissed with a harmonic wave of his upper appendage. Nothing more. Their development is chaotic, unguided. They still war among themselves over resources, ideology, territory. No species that fractured could ever pose a legitimate presence in the galactic community. The Council of Nine disagrees, Vex countered, her inner lights shifting to a deeper blue. They've escalated Earth's classification from primitive pre-contact to emerging potential. That's why our observation post was doubled in size. Zirax emitted a harmonic that translated roughly as derisive laughter. Politics. The Council sees potential allies everywhere these days, ever since the Voidborn incursions began on the Outer Rim. Perhaps with reason, Vex suggested. The Voidborn have already consumed 3 civilizations more advanced than our own. And you think these humans, these emotional, short-lived, biologically inefficient creatures, could offer anything against the Voidborn? Zirax's crystalline structure darkened slightly at the absurdity. They are fragile. Observe their physical limitations. The view screen shifted to scenes of human daily life, their bipedal forms moving about in their cities, laboring, communicating, living their brief existences. 2 eyes with limited spectral perception. Auditory organs that detect only the crudest sound waves. No natural defenses. No redundant organs. Dependent on constant oxygen intake. A neural network concentrated in one vulnerable location. Zirax enumerated each weakness with growing dismissal. And most concerning, their decision-making processes are compromised by chemical reactions they call emotions. Vex's form pulsed thoughtfully. Those same emotions have driven remarkable innovations. Primitive instincts, Zirax corrected. Particularly this concept they call rage, a complete neural hijacking that floods their systems with adrenaline and cortisol, shutting down higher reasoning in favor of aggression. What advanced species would retain such a self-destructive response? The unified theory of stellar evolution was formulated by a human scientist enraged at being told his approach was flawed. Vex noted. Their first interplanetary colony was established after a government leader became enraged at budget cuts to their space program. Coincidences? Anomalies? Zirax dismissed. We Araxians achieved interstellar travel through methodical, rational progression over 12,000 cycles. No emotional outbursts. No rage. Pure logical advancement. The conversation might have continued, but an alarm pulsed through the observation deck, baiting everything in urgent red light. Strategic Commander Kelks materialized from the ship's transport system, his crystalline form vibrating with unusual intensity. Grand Observer, Kelks's harmonic was tight, controlled. The Voidborn have been detected in this sector, 3 high ships moving at sublight speed toward the Sol system. Zirax's crystalline structure pulsed with priority patterns. Estimated time to arrival. Less than 1 Earth rotation. Have they detected our observation post? Negative. We remain in stealth configuration. But the trajectory is clear. They're heading directly for Earth. Vex's form dimmed with concern. We should warn the humans. Protocol dictates. Protocol dictates non-interference with pre-alliance species, Zirax interrupted. We observe. We record. We analyze. We do not interfere. But the Voidborn will annihilate them. Vex protested. "The humans have no defense against high ships." "Then we will document the extinction of yet another promising species," Zirax stated coldly. "Such is the natural order of the cosmos. The strong survive. The weak perish." The Araxian Federation did not achieve dominance by protecting lesser species from natural selection. Kelks and Vex exchanged luminous patterns of discomfort, but said nothing more. The Grand Observer's decision was final. 26 Earth hours later, they watched as the void-borne Hive ships entered Earth orbit. The massive black structures, organic and geometric at once, dwarfed anything humans had constructed in space. Without warning or communication, the first attack began. The Voidborn targeted Earth's largest lunar colony first, a domed settlement of nearly 50,000 human lives. The destruction was methodical, precise. Defensive systems were neutralized in seconds. Atmospheric regulators destroyed next, then communication arrays. Finally, the dome's structural integrity itself. From their hidden observation post, the Araxians watched as the colony's atmosphere vented into space, the tiny forms of humans visible for brief moments before succumbing to vacuum. "Record all data," Zirax ordered dispassionately. "This is valuable research on voidborne attack patterns." Vex's luminescence had dimmed to almost nothing, a sign of extreme distress in Araxian physiology. They were a research outpost. Scientists. Families. They were test subjects, Zirax corrected, and now they are data points. The Voidborn moved next to Earth's orbital defense platforms. These were dispatched with equal efficiency, kinetic weapons slicing through human alloys like they were gossamer. Earth's military responded with nuclear-tipped missiles, particle beam weapons, and everything else in their arsenal. The Voidborn absorbed or deflected it all. As expected, Zirax noted, their technology is primitive. The extinction event will be complete within one Earth rotation. But then something unexpected happened. The view screen showed thousands of small craft launching from Earth's surface, civilian vessels, mining ships, even private transport shuttles. They were not retreating. They were attacking. "What are they doing?" Kelks asked, his crystalline structure vibrating with confusion. "Those are not military vessels. They're sacrificing themselves," Vex whispered. "Buying time." Indeed, the civilian fleet was engaging in what appeared to be suicide runs against the Voidborn ships. Most were destroyed before getting close, but some managed to impact the Hive ships, causing minimal but noticeable damage. "Irrational," Zirax declared. "Emotional. This is why they will perish." Then the view screen detected massive energy signatures from Earth's surface, hundreds of them, all triggering simultaneously. "What is happening?" Zirax demanded. Vex ran a rapid analysis. They're detonating their own cities. Controlled antimatter explosions. They're sacrificing their own civilization. "Madness," Kelks breathed. But it wasn't madness, it was strategy. The explosions on Earth's surface were precisely calibrated to create a planetary electromagnetic pulse, unlike anything the Araxians had ever recorded. The pulse expanded outward, washing over the Voidborn Hive ships, which suddenly went dark. "Impossible," Zirax stammered, his crystalline form vibrating with disbelief. "The Voidborn organic technology is immune to electromagnetic interference." "Not this kind," Vex realized, her form brightening with understanding. "The humans converted their cities into resonance chambers. The pulse isn't just electromagnetic, it's hitting the exact frequency of Voidborn neural networks." The disabled Hive ships began drifting, powerless in Earth orbit. And then, from the dark side of Earth's moon, they emerge. "Grand Observer," Kelks's voice was barely a harmonic whisper. "We're detecting ships. Hundreds of them, hidden in the lunar shadow." The vessels were like nothing the Araxians had seen before, sleek, black, absorbing light rather than reflecting it. They moved with impossible speed, surrounding the disabled Voidborn Hive ships. "These aren't in any of our intelligence reports," Vex said, her form pulsing rapidly. The humans concealed an entire battle fleet from our observation. The human vessels opened fire with weapons that seemed to fold space itself, creating localized singularities that tore the Voidborn ships apart piece by piece. No defense, no mercy. Methodical execution. Within moments, the mighty Voidborn invasion force was reduced to drifting debris. Impossible, Zirax repeated, his crystalline structure vibrating with shock. The humans, they sacrificed millions of their own kind. They destroyed their own cities. All as a trap. Not a trap, Vex corrected softly. A defense of last resort. They knew about the Voidborn. They were prepared. But how? Zirax demanded. We've been observing them constantly. They showed no signs of advanced singularity weapons, no indications they were aware of the Voidborn threat. Perhaps, Vex suggested, we were not the only ones observing. Before Zirax could respond, the view screen showed the human fleet changing course, directly toward their hidden observation post. They've detected us, Kelks announced, his form pulsing with alarm patterns. Stealth systems compromised. Impossible, Zirax said for the third time, a clear indication of his psychological fracturing. Our technology is thousands of years beyond theirs. A communication request pinged through their systems. After a moment of stunned silence, Zirax nodded permission to accept. The face of a human appeared on the view screen. Female, dark-skinned, with eyes that seemed to look directly through Zirax's crystalline form. This is Admiral Helena Chen of the Earth Defense Force, she said, her voice calm. Controlled. To the Araxian observation vessel that has been monitoring our planet for the past 17 years, we know you're there. We know you watched as the Voidborn attacked us. We know you chose not to warn us. Zirax's crystalline structure pulsed with shock. How could you possibly? We've been aware of your presence since you arrived in our system, Admiral Chen continued. Just as we've been aware of the Voidborn threat for decades. What you just witnessed was Plan Omega, a contingency we hoped never to implement. You sacrifice your own people, Zirax said, unable to process the concept. Admiral Chen's expression hardened. We evacuated our cities months ago when our deep space probes detected the Voidborn approach. The only life signs your sensors detected were drone operators and volunteers who stayed behind to ensure the trap worked. But your lunar colony, Vex began, was empty, Chen finished. A honeypot. We needed the Voidborn to believe they had drawn first blood, to become overconfident. The implications washed over the Araxians like a wave. These humans had not only prepared for an invasion by the galaxy's most feared predator, they had set an elaborate trap, sacrificed enormous resources, and executed a plan of such complexity that it had completely escaped Araxian notice. What happens now? Zirax asked, suddenly aware of his vessel's vulnerability. Admiral Chen's eyes narrowed slightly. Now, Grand Observer Zirax of the Araxian Federation, we talk about your policy of non-interference. We talk about how many other worlds have fallen while you watched and took notes. And then we talk about what happens when humanity decides to interfere with you. The transmission ended, leaving the Araxians in silence as the human fleet surrounded their observation post, weapons systems powered but dormant. Waiting. The awakening storm. The Council of Nine had never been convened in emergency session in the 15,000 years of Araxian recorded history. Until today. Grand Observer Zirax stood in the center of the crystalline chamber, his form dimmed with shame as the Nine towered above him, their ancient structures pulsing with colors of judgment and disappointment. You were instructed to observe the humans, First Elder Nyx intoned, her vast crystalline form casting prismatic shadows across the chamber. Not to allow them to discover our existence, and certainly not to provoke them into threatening Araxian security. With respect, First Elder, Zirax countered, we followed protocol exactly. Non-interference with pre-alliance species. We could not have anticipated their trap for the Voidborn, nor their awareness of our presence. Yet they were aware. Third Elder Quix noted, his sharp-edged form vibrating with concern. This suggests a failure of our stealth technology, or perhaps a deliberate leak of information. The implication hung in the chamber like a dark cloud. Impossible, Zirax protested. No Araxian would betray the Federation to primitives. These primitives, as you call them, Seventh Elder Mox interrupted, have now destroyed 3 Voidborn high ships, something our combined fleets have failed to accomplish in a century of conflict. The truth of this silenced Zirax momentarily. Tell us of your interactions with their leader, First Elder Nyx commanded. Admiral Helena Chen, Zirax recalled. She indicated that humanity has been aware of both our observation and the Voidborn threat for decades. She suggested that Earth's apparent technological level was deliberately understated to mislead observers. And what of her ultimatum? Fifth Elder Pax asked. Zirax's form pulsed with discomfort. The humans demand a meeting with the Council. They claim to have a proposal regarding the Voidborn threat. They have given us 30 rotations to respond before they will, in their words, take matters into their own hands. A threat, Third Elder Quix noted, or an opportunity, countered Ninth Elder Zax, who had remained silent until now. His ancient form, rumored to be over 20,000 cycles old, shifted forward. If the humans possess technology capable of defeating the Voidborn, an alliance could benefit both our species. They are emotional, unpredictable, Zirax argued. Their decision-making is compromised by chemical responses, particularly their rage, a state of heightened aggression that allowed them to defeat an enemy we could not. Ninth Elder Zax finished. Perhaps there is value in emotion we have not considered. Before the debate could continue, an urgent communication pulsed through the chamber. Strategic Commander Kelx materialized, his usually composed form vibrating with alarm patterns. Forgive the interruption, honored elders. Kelx began, but we've received reports from the outer colonies. The Voidborn have launched a massive counterattack. 17 worlds are under siege. They appear to be enraged by their defeat at Earth. The chamber fell silent. 17 worlds. Billions of Araxian lives. Our fleet cannot defend so many worlds simultaneously. Fifth Elder Pax stated the obvious. We must consolidate our forces, abandon the outer colonies, sacrifice our own people. Seventh Elder Mox vibrated with distress. There are 3 billion civilians in those colonies. The needs of the many outweigh. Third Elder Quix began, but was interrupted by First Elder Nyx. There is another option, she said, her usually certain harmonics wavering slightly. We could request assistance from the humans. The suggestion sent shock waves through the chamber. Araxians requesting help from a pre-alliance species. Unthinkable. But the alternative was equally unthinkable. Grand Observer, First Elder Nyx intoned. You will return to Sol System. You will inform Admiral Chen that the Council has agreed to her meeting. And you will. Her form dimmed momentarily with the difficulty of what came next. You will request immediate human assistance against the Voidborn attack. 27 hours later, Zirax found himself aboard the human flagship Righteous Fury, a vessel whose massive scale and lethal elegance belied everything he had believed about human technological capabilities. Admiral Chen sat across from him, her calm demeanor unchanged despite the reversal in their positions. Let me understand correctly, she said after Zirax transmitted the Council's request. The Voidborn have attacked 17 of your worlds in retaliation for their defeat at Earth, and you're asking for our help. Yes, Zirax admitted, his crystalline structure pulsing with humiliation. The same help you refused to give us when the Voidborn attacked our world. Yes. Admiral Chen leaned back in her chair, studying the crystalline being before her. Why should we help you, Grand Observer? Your people have been watching species like ours be exterminated for centuries without lifting a finger. What makes your lives more valuable than those already lost? Zirax had no answer. In truth, there was no logical reason humans should help them. The Araxians had done nothing to earn such assistance. I cannot offer justification, Zirax finally admitted. I can only appeal to qualities my people have long dismissed: mercy, empathy, cooperation. If these are truly human values, as our studies suggest, then perhaps you will help us despite our failings. Admiral Chen's expression remained unreadable for a long moment. Then she tapped a control on her desk. General Williams, begin Operation Thunderstrike. Deploy all available fleets to Araxian space. Priority targets are civilian evacuation zones. And patch me through to the President. The Council of Nine has agreed to our terms. Zirax's form pulsed with surprise. You're helping us? Just like that. Not just like that, Chen corrected. In exchange for full technology sharing, joint military command, and a permanent human seat on your Council of Nine. The terms your elders just agreed to. But how? When? While you were en route to this meeting, Chen explained with a small smile. We've had direct communication with your council for the past 12 hours. Did you think you were the only envoy dispatched? The realization hit Zirax like a physical blow. The council had been negotiating without him, had already agreed to human terms that would fundamentally alter the Araxian Federation's structure of governance. I don't understand, Zirax admitted. Why would you help us after we refuse to help you? Admiral Chen's expression softened slightly. Because that's the difference between us, Grand Observer. You see emotion as weakness. We see it as strength. Yes, humans feel rage, a rage your people witnessed when we destroyed the Voidborn ships. But we also feel compassion, even for those who haven't earned it. She stood, gesturing to a view screen that showed hundreds of human vessels entering faster than light travel, heading toward Araxian space. 20 million human soldiers are about to risk their lives for your people, she continued. Not because it's logical, not because it benefits Earth strategically, though it does, but because it's right. Because when we see suffering, something in us demands action. For the first time in his long existence, Zirax began to understand. 7 days later, Zirax stood on the observation deck of a joint human-Araxian command ship, watching as the combined fleet engaged Voidborn forces above Araxis Prime, the Federation's most populous colony. The battle unfolding before him defied all strategic logic. Human vessels executed maneuvers that seemed suicidal, drawing Voidborn fire away from vulnerable Araxian evacuation ships. They sacrificed tactical advantage to save civilian transports. They placed themselves in harm's way repeatedly, not for strategic gain, but to protect lives. And they fought with a ferocity that made even the Voidborn pause. Vex materialized beside Zirax, her form brighter than he had seen in days. The evacuation is 70% complete. The humans have established a defensive perimeter that's holding. We're going to save most of them, Zirax. At what cost? Zirax asked, watching as another human cruiser took a direct hit, its hull breaching in multiple places. That's the strangest thing, Vex said. I've been analyzing human communications during battle. They don't seem to calculate costs the way we do. When a ship is lost, they don't speak of resource depletion or strategic disadvantage. They speak of honoring sacrifice, of making sure it wasn't in vain. On the view screen, a massive Voidborn hive ship began to break apart under concentrated fire from 3 human dreadnoughts. As it collapsed, one of the dreadnoughts was caught in the blast radius, its systems failing. No, cried a human tactical officer nearby. The Intrepid is losing containment. 1,200 souls aboard. Zirax watched as nearby human vessels broke formation to attempt rescue operations, putting themselves at risk to save their comrades. Illogical, he murmured. They compromised the entire battle strategy for a few individual lives. No, came Admiral Chen's voice from behind him. She had entered the observation deck unnoticed. We strengthen it. Every soldier knows we will never abandon them. It makes them fight harder, take necessary risks, hold the line when logic says retreat. She stepped forward, watching as her people battled the Voidborn with unrelenting determination. This is what you never understood about human rage, Grand Observer. It isn't mindless emotion. It's focused purpose. When we see injustice, when we witness suffering, when we face extinction, we don't just feel rage. We channel it, control it, direct it. On the view screen, the battle was turning. The Voidborn, facing unexpected resistance, began to retreat from Araxian space. Your observation reports always noted how humans fought among themselves, Chen continued. What you fail to understand is that this makes us uniquely dangerous when we find a common enemy. We've spent thousands of years perfecting the art of war against ourselves. The Voidborn never stood a chance. 3 weeks later, the combined human-Araxian forces had pushed the Voidborn entirely out of Federation space. For the first time in a century, the relentless advance of the hive mind had been halted and pushed back. In the Grand Chamber of the Council of Nine, now the Council of 10 with the addition of humanity's representative, Zirax presented his final report as Grand Observer. In conclusion, he stated to the assembled elders and the human ambassador, I recommend the immediate dissolution of the non-interference protocol. Our policy of observation without action has cost countless lives across the galaxy and nearly led to our own extinction. First Elder Nyx's form pulsed with consideration. And what would you propose in its place, Grand Observer? Zirax's crystalline structure brightened with purpose. An alliance of species, not just with humans, but with all sentient civilizations willing to stand together. The Voidborn are wounded but not defeated. They will return. And when they do, they should find not isolated worlds to consume, but a united galaxy ready to defend itself. The human ambassador, Dr. Amara Singh, nodded in agreement. On Earth, we have a saying, the only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good people to do nothing. Your people chose to do nothing for centuries. Now you have a chance to do something that matters. First Elder Nyx's form shifted in what Araxians recognized as the crystalline equivalent of a smile. Very well. The non-interference protocol is hereby dissolved. In its place, we will establish the Galactic Defense Initiative, jointly led by Araxian and human commanders, open to all species threatened by the Voidborn. As the council chamber erupted in harmonics of agreement, Zirax found himself standing beside Admiral Chen, who had attended as an observer. I still don't fully understand human emotion, he admitted to her. This rage that drives you, this compassion that tempers it, they remain alien concepts to me. Chen smiled. You don't need to understand it completely, Grand Observer. You just need to understand this. When humans see injustice in the universe, we don't just observe. We act. Sometimes with fury, sometimes with mercy, but always with purpose. And that makes you dangerous, Zirax stated. Yes, Chen agreed without hesitation. But it also makes us exactly what this galaxy needs right now. As Zirax looked out at the chamber, at Araxians and humans working together to forge a new future, he realized a fundamental truth. Sometimes the most advanced civilization isn't the one with the oldest history or the most sophisticated technology. Sometimes it's the one that remembers why they're fighting in the first place. The Voidborn had awakened human rage. They had never expected it would be their undoing. And neither had the Araxians.